It was a hot summer morning at the old military auction yard. Most people walked right past the rusty metal container sitting in the back corner. It looked like junk, worthless, not worth anyone's time. But Sarah Martinez saw something different. While rich collectors and fancy dealers argued over shiny items up front, Sarah stood alone by that beaten-up container. Her hands were dirty from fixing engines all morning. Her work boots were covered in oil. She didn't look like someone who belonged at an auction. And that's exactly what everyone thought. "Hey, grease monkey," shouted Marcus Webb, a wealthy collector who drove up in his expensive car. "Why don't you stick to changing oil and let the real buyers handle this?" His friends laughed. They always laughed at Sarah. To them, she was just a 23-year-old girl who fixed cars for a living. Nothing special, nothing important. But Sarah didn't answer. She just smiled quietly and kept looking at that container, because Sarah knew something they didn't. She had learned about planes from her grandfather, a World War II pilot. She had studied aircraft her whole life, and she recognized the shape visible through the small gap in the container's door. The auction was about to start, and Sarah had exactly $100 in her pocket. It was all the money she had saved this month. Everyone else had thousands to spend, but Sarah didn't need thousands, not for what everyone thought was worthless junk. What they didn't know was that inside that container was something incredible, something that would change everything, something worth more than anyone could imagine. Sarah had always been underestimated. Ever since she was a little girl, people told her that fixing engines wasn't for girls, that planes and cars were boy stuff, that she should focus on something more appropriate. But Sarah never listened. Her grandfather taught her everything about aircraft before he passed away. He told her stories about flying in the war, about the powerful planes that helped win battles, about one special plane called the P-47 Thunderbolt. "Sarah," he would say, "the P-47 was a beast, tough as nails, could take hits and keep flying. They called it the Jug because it was built like a milk jug, round and strong. If you ever see one, you'll know it by the big nose and the way the wings curve." Sarah remembered every word. She studied old pictures and read books about World War II planes. While other kids played video games, Sarah learned about engines, propellers, and aircraft parts. Now at 23, she ran a small auto repair shop in town. It barely made enough money to pay rent. Customers sometimes refused to let her work on their cars because she was young and female. They wanted a real mechanic, meaning a man. Marcus Webb was the worst of them all. He owned the biggest car dealership in the city. He collected vintage vehicles and loved to show off his wealth. He had tried to buy Sarah's shop 3 times, offering almost nothing for it. "That little garage of yours is worth maybe $10,000, he told her last month. "I'm being generous. Take the deal before you go broke." Sarah refused every time. Her shop was her grandfather's dream. She wouldn't sell it to someone like Marcus. Today, at the auction, Marcus saw Sarah and couldn't resist making fun of her again. "What are you doing here, grease girl?" he said loud enough for everyone to hear. "Did you bring your lunch money to buy a toolbox?" His friends, other rich collectors, laughed again. They all looked down at Sarah with her dirty work clothes and messy ponytail. The auction master, Mr. Harrison, started calling out items. Fancy cars sold for thousands of dollars. Old military equipment went for big money. Marcus bought 3 items already, barely looking at the prices. Then they got to the container in the back. "Next up, lot 47, Mr. Harrison announced. "One military storage container, contents unknown, sold as is. Very rusty, might be empty, might have old parts. We start at $50. Nobody raised their hand. The container looked terrible, all rusty and falling apart. "Come on, folks," Mr. Harrison said. $50 for mystery contents." Still nothing. "How about $25? Silence. Marcus yawned. His friends checked their phones. Everyone thought it was garbage. Sarah raised her hand. Her heart was pounding. This was her moment. "We have $25, Mr. Harrison said, looking surprised that anyone bid at all. "Wait," Sarah called out. "I'll give you $100 for it." The whole yard went quiet. Everyone turned to look at her. Marcus burst out laughing. "You're going to waste $100 on that piece of junk. That's a whole week of fixing cars for you. Are you crazy?" Sarah stood firm. "That's my bid, $100. Mr. Harrison looked around. Anyone want to outbid the young lady? No, going once, going twice. Sold to the young lady for $100. Marcus couldn't stop laughing. "This is the best entertainment I've had all day." She just threw away her money on rust and trash. Sarah walked to the payment booth with her head held high. She handed over 5 $20 bills, every dollar she had. Her hands shook a little, but not from fear, from excitement, because she knew what was inside. The next morning, Sarah arrived at the auction yard with a borrowed truck and her tools. The container sat waiting for her in the corner where nobody wanted it. Mr. Harrison came over with the keys. "You sure about this, miss? We can't give refunds." "I'm sure," Sarah said. She took the keys and walked to the container. The lock was old and rusty. It took her 10 minutes to get it open. Finally, the door creaked and groaned as she pulled it wide. Inside was dark, dusty, filled with tarps and old fabric covering something big. Sarah climbed inside with her flashlight. She pulled away the first tarp, then the second, then the third. And there it was. A plane, a real World War II fighter plane. Dusty and old, but the shape was unmistakable. The big round nose, the curved wings, the sturdy body built like a tank. A P-47 Thunderbolt. Sarah's hands covered her mouth. Tears filled her eyes. It was real, just like her grandfather described, just like the pictures in her books. She ran her hand along the metal body. The paint was faded, but she could still see parts of the military markings. The propeller was still attached. The cockpit glass was dusty but not broken. This plane was a piece of history, and it was hers. But Sarah didn't tell anyone. Not yet. She knew if people found out, they would try to take it from her. People like Marcus would claim she didn't know what she had. They would try to buy it for cheap or even steal it. So Sarah made a plan. She would restore the plane slowly and quietly. She would research its history, and when the time was right, she would reveal what she found. Over the next 3 months, Sarah worked on the plane every night after closing her shop. She transported it piece by piece to a storage unit she rented outside town. She cleaned it carefully. She researched the serial numbers stamped on the parts. What she discovered made her gasp. This wasn't just any P-47 Thunderbolt. According to military records, this specific plane, serial number 428066, had been flown by Captain James "Lucky" O'Brien, one of the most decorated pilots of World War II. He had shot down 17 enemy planes while flying this exact aircraft. After the war, the plane disappeared. Historians thought it was destroyed. But here it was, hidden in a container, forgotten by everyone except Sarah. She kept working. She documented everything with photos. She contacted historians and experts through email, never giving her real name. She learned that a P-47 Thunderbolt in good condition could sell for $2 million, but one with this kind of history, one flown by a famous pilot, that could be worth $5 million or more. Sarah could barely believe it. She came from a poor family. She struggled to pay rent every month, and now she owned something worth millions. But she still said nothing. She wanted to do this right. Meanwhile, Marcus Webb was having a great time bragging about his auction finds. He bought 3 old military trucks that month and sold them for double the price. He loved making money from things other people overlooked. One day, he came into Sarah's shop with his fancy sports car. "I need an oil change," he said, not even looking at her. "And make it quick. I have important business." Sarah wanted to refuse, but she needed every customer. "It'll be ready in an hour." While Marcus waited, he walked around the shop, looking at everything like he owned it. "You know, Sarah," he said, "I heard you bought that garbage container at the auction. That was 3 months ago. Did you find anything good? Maybe some old bolts?" He laughed at his own joke. Sarah kept working under the car. "Just old stuff, nothing special." "That's what I thought. You wasted $100 on nothing. That's why people like you stay poor. No business sense." Marcus leaned against the wall, looking at his phone. "Meanwhile, I made $30,000 flipping those trucks I bought. That's how you make real money." Sarah bit her tongue. She wanted so badly to tell him the truth, but not yet. "Your car is ready," she said. Marcus threw money on the counter without counting it. "Keep the change, grease girl. Buy yourself some nice clothes or something." He drove off, laughing. Sarah counted the money. He had underpaid by $20. Of course he did. But Sarah didn't get angry. She just smiled, because she knew something Marcus didn't. Very soon, everything would change. 6 months after buying the container, Sarah had fully documented the P-47 Thunderbolt. She had photos from every angle. She had the complete history researched and verified. She had letters from aviation experts confirming its authenticity and value. She contacted Warbird Museum of America, a major organization that bought and displayed historic aircraft. They asked her to bring the plane for inspection. When their experts saw it, they went crazy. "This is incredible," said Dr. Patricia Chen, the museum's chief historian. "We thought this plane was lost forever. Captain O'Brien's family has been looking for this aircraft for 70 years. "How much is it worth?" Sarah asked quietly. Dr. Chen looked at her colleagues. They whispered together, examining the plane again. "In this condition, with this history at auction, we estimate between $4.05 and $5.5 million, maybe more if collectors get into a bidding war." Sarah's knees almost gave out. $5 million. She could barely breathe. "We would like to buy it," Dr. Chen said. "We can offer you $4.5 million right now, or you can auction it and possibly get more. What would you like to do?" Sarah thought about her small shop, her struggles to pay rent, all the people who laughed at her, all the times Marcus called her names and treated her like dirt. "I want to auction it," Sarah said, "and I want everyone in town to know about it." Dr. Chen smiled. "I think we can arrange that." The auction was scheduled for exactly 1 year after Sarah bought the container. The Warbird Museum helped organize everything. They invited collectors from around the world. They contacted news stations and newspapers. And they made sure to send a special invitation to Marcus Webb. The auction was held at the city's biggest convention center. Hundreds of people showed up. Television cameras lined the walls. This was going to be the biggest aircraft sale in the state's history. Marcus arrived in his most expensive suit, ready to buy something impressive. He loved these events where he could show off his wealth. He was talking to other collectors when someone tapped his shoulder. He turned around and saw Sarah, but she didn't look like the greasy mechanic he always made fun of. She wore a professional business suit. Her hair was styled nicely. She looked confident and strong. "Hello, Marcus," Sarah said with a calm smile. Marcus looked confused. "What are you doing here? Did you get a job serving drinks or something?" "Not quite," Sarah said. "I'm the seller today." Marcus laughed. What could you possibly have to sell? A rusty toolbox?" The auction master's voice boomed through the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today we have something extraordinary. One of the rarest finds in aviation history. A P-47 Thunderbolt flown by the legendary Captain James O'Brien, thought to be lost for 70 years. This plane was discovered by a young woman who recognized its value when everyone else saw only trash. A large screen lit up, showing photos of the plane, the beautiful restoration, the historical documents, the verification letters. This aircraft was purchased for $100 at a local auction, the auction master continued. The buyer saw what others missed. Today, we expect this plane to sell for approximately $5 million. Marcus's face went white. His mouth fell open. "That's right, Marcus," Sarah whispered. "That garbage container you laughed at. It had a $5 million plane inside." Marcus couldn't speak. He just stared at the screen, watching the plane he mocked now displayed as a priceless treasure. "The bidding starts at $3 million, the auction master announced. Hands shot up around the room. $3.1 million, $3.3 million, $3.5 million. The numbers climbed fast. Sarah watched from the side stage, her heart pounding with joy. Marcus stood frozen. All his rich friends were watching. They all remembered how he laughed at Sarah, how he called her stupid for buying that container, how he said she wasted her money. The bidding kept rising. $4 million, $4.3 million, $4.5 million. Finally, after 10 minutes of intense bidding, a collector from Texas won, with a bid of $5.2 million. The room exploded with applause. Sarah walked on stage to sign the papers. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. "How did you know the plane was in there?" one reporter asked. Sarah smiled. "My grandfather taught me about planes. He was a P-47 pilot in World War II. He told me what to look for. When I saw the shape through the gap in the container door, I knew exactly what it was. I just needed the courage to take a chance." "What will you do with the money?" another reporter asked. "First, I'm going to expand my auto shop," Sarah said. "I'm going to hire other young people who want to learn about engines and mechanics, especially young women who are told they can't do this kind of work. I want to show them they can achieve anything." The crowd applauded again. Sarah looked out at Marcus. He was walking toward the exit, his face red with embarrassment. His friends were whispering and pointing at him. "Oh, and one more thing," Sarah said into the microphone. "I want to thank Marcus Webb for being so kind at that first auction. His encouragement really meant a lot." Her voice was sweet, but everyone could hear the sarcasm. The whole room laughed. They all knew Marcus had mocked her. Now he was the joke. The next week was amazing for Sarah. News stories about her discovery went viral. People called her brave and smart. Aviation magazines wrote articles about her. Young girls sent her letters saying she inspired them. Sarah paid off all her debts. She bought the building her shop was in so she would never worry about rent again. She expanded the business, adding 3 more bays and buying new equipment. She hired 5 employees, 3 young women and 2 young men who couldn't afford trade school. She trained them herself, teaching them everything her grandfather taught her. Her shop became known as the best place in town for honest, quality repair work. Customers came from miles away because they trusted Sarah. Marcus Webb's life went in the opposite direction. After everyone heard how he treated Sarah, customers started avoiding his dealership. They didn't want to support someone so mean and disrespectful. His business dropped by 40%. He had to sell 2 of his classic cars to pay his bills. One day, 3 months after the auction, Marcus showed up at Sarah's shop. His expensive sports car had broken down, and no other mechanic was available. Sarah could have turned him away. She could have been mean to him the way he was mean to her. But she didn't. "I'll fix your car," Sarah said simply. "It'll be ready tomorrow." Marcus looked embarrassed. "Look, Sarah, I'm sorry for how I treated you, for all the things I said. You were right and I was wrong. You're a better person than me." Sarah nodded. "I appreciate that, Marcus, but I didn't do this to prove something to you. I did it because I love planes and I love mechanics. My grandfather taught me that if you're good at something and you work hard, success will come." He was right. Marcus paid full price for the repair. He left a $100 tip, the same amount Sarah spent on the container. "We're even now," he said quietly. Sarah donated that $100 to a scholarship fund for young women interested in mechanical engineering, because she knew that helping others was more important than holding grudges. Over the next year, Sarah's life transformed completely. Her repair shop became so successful that she opened a second location, then a third. Each shop hired young people from poor families and taught them valuable skills. She started a YouTube channel showing people how to fix cars and understand engines. Her videos got millions of views. Young girls from around the world wrote to her saying she changed their lives. "I never thought girls could be mechanics until I saw you," wrote a 12-year-old from Ohio. "Now I want to be just like you." Sarah framed that letter and hung it in her office. She also donated $500,000 to the Warbird Museum to help restore other historic planes. The museum named a wing after her grandfather, Captain Martinez's hangar. On the day they unveiled the plaque, Sarah stood with tears in her eyes. Her grandfather's dream, to see young people learn about aviation, was coming true. "He would be so proud of you," her grandmother said, holding Sarah's hand. "I hope so," Sarah whispered. "I did this for him." The P-47 Thunderbolt that Sarah discovered now sits in the museum's main hall. Millions of people visit it every year. A plaque tells the story of how a young mechanic with $100 and a dream found a treasure everyone else missed. School groups come to see the plane. Teachers tell students Sarah's story. They explain that success doesn't come from being rich or looking important. It comes from knowledge, hard work, and believing in yourself. With her newfound wealth and platform, Sarah didn't just stop at auto repair. She remembered all those times people doubted her, all those moments when customers asked for the real mechanic, all those days when she struggled to pay rent while rich people like Marcus looked down on her. She decided to create something bigger. Sarah started the Wings and Wrenches Foundation, a nonprofit organization that taught mechanical skills to underprivileged youth. The program focused especially on young women and minorities who faced barriers in technical careers. The foundation offered free classes in auto repair, aircraft mechanics, welding, and engineering. Students could earn certificates that helped them get real jobs. Many companies started hearing directly from Sarah's program. Within 2 years, the foundation helped over 300 young people start careers in mechanical fields. Some opened their own shops. Others got jobs at airlines and factories. One young woman even joined the Air Force to become a jet mechanic. "Sarah gave me a chance when nobody else would," said Maria Rodriguez, a 19-year-old graduate of the program. "My family thought I should just get married and have kids, but I wanted to build things. Sarah showed me I could." Sarah also used her platform to speak about gender discrimination in technical fields. She gave talks at schools and conferences. She wrote articles for magazines. She appeared on television shows to discuss how society often discourages girls from pursuing mechanical careers. "We lose so much talent because we tell half the population they can't do certain jobs," Sarah said in one interview. "How many brilliant engineers never get the chance because someone told them it's not for girls? How many amazing mechanics give up because they're treated like they don't belong? We need to change that." Her message resonated with people around the world. Other women in technical fields reached out to share their stories. Companies started programs to recruit more diverse employees. Schools began encouraging girls to explore engineering and mechanics. Sarah had sparked a movement. 5 years after buying that container, Sarah sat in her office looking at everything she had built. She was now 28 years old and ran 7 auto repair shops across 3 states. Her YouTube channel had 2 million subscribers. Her foundation had helped over 1,000 young people start careers. Most importantly, she had changed how people in her community thought about mechanics and gender roles. But Sarah stayed humble. She still fixed cars herself every week. She still wore her work boots and got her hands dirty. She still remembered what it felt like to be underestimated. One afternoon, a young girl walked into her main shop with her father. The girl couldn't have been more than 8 years old. "Are you Sarah Martinez?" the girl asked shyly. "I am," Sarah said, kneeling down to her level. "I saw you on TV," the girl said. "You found a plane that everyone thought was trash, and now you're rich and famous." Sarah smiled. "I did find a plane, but I'm not rich because of luck. I'm successful because I never stopped learning and I never let anyone tell me what I couldn't do." The girl's eyes went wide. "My teacher said girls can't be mechanics. She said that's boy stuff." Sarah felt her heart clench. That same message, still being told to little girls, the same lies she heard as a child. "Can I tell you a secret?" Sarah whispered. The girl nodded eagerly. "Your teacher is wrong. Girls can be anything they want. Mechanics, pilots, engineers, scientists, anything. The only person who decides what you can be is you. Not your teacher, not your friends, just you." The girl smiled big. "Really?" "Really," Sarah said. "In fact, I bet you'd make an amazing mechanic. Want to see my shop?" The girl's father started to object, but Sarah gave him a look that said, "Trust me." Sarah spent the next hour showing the girl around the shop. She explained how engines work. She let her hold tools. She showed her the pictures of the P-47 Thunderbolt. "I'm going to be a mechanic," the girl announced at the end, "just like you." Sarah felt tears in her eyes again. This was why she did everything. For moments like this. For little girls who needed to know they could achieve their dreams. "You know what?" Sarah said. "When you're old enough, come work for me. I'll teach you everything I know." The girl hugged her. "Promise." "Promise." Interestingly, Marcus Webb's story didn't end in total failure. After his initial embarrassment and business troubles, he did something surprising. He changed. Marcus reached out to Sarah and asked if he could volunteer at her foundation. At first, Sarah was skeptical. Was this another trick? Another way for Marcus to feel superior? But Marcus was sincere. "I was wrong about everything," he admitted. "I judged people by their appearance. I thought money made me better than others. I was a bully, and I'm ashamed of it." Sarah gave him a chance. Marcus started teaching business classes at the foundation. He helped young entrepreneurs learn how to run successful shops. He used his mistakes as lessons about how not to treat people. "I wasted years being arrogant," Marcus told one class. "I had money, but I wasn't rich in the ways that matter. I didn't have respect. I didn't have real friends. I didn't have purpose. Sarah has all those things because she treats people right." Marcus and Sarah never became best friends. The past couldn't be erased, but they developed a respectful working relationship. Marcus learned humility, and Sarah learned that people can change if they truly want to. "Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting," Sarah once said. "It means giving someone a chance to be better. Marcus is trying to be better. That's worth something." Marcus's dealership eventually recovered, but he ran it differently. He treated employees with respect. He paid fair wages. He stopped looking down on people. His business wasn't as flashy as before, but it was more honest. And every year on the anniversary of Sarah's auction, Marcus donated $10,000 to the Wings and Wrenches Foundation. It was his way of paying back the universe for the lessons Sarah taught him. As the years passed, Sarah's impact grew beyond anything she imagined. Her foundation expanded to 10 cities. Her YouTube channel reached 5 million subscribers. She wrote a best-selling book called Under the Hood, Finding Value Where Others See Trash. The book wasn't just about the plane. It was about life lessons, about looking deeper than surface appearances, about having courage to bet on yourself, about how education and knowledge can change your entire future. Schools assigned the book as required reading. Business classes studied Sarah's story as an example of smart investing and recognizing opportunity. Women's organizations invited her to speak at conferences. But Sarah's favorite moments were still the simple ones: teaching a young person how to change oil, seeing someone's face light up when they fixed their first engine, getting letters from graduates of her program who landed great jobs. Success isn't about the money, Sarah often said. It's about impact. How many lives did you change? How many people did you help? That's what matters. The P-47 Thunderbolt remained the centerpiece of the Warbird Museum. But Sarah had another piece of the plane kept for herself. A small section of the wing panel, cut carefully and preserved. She kept it in her office as a reminder. A reminder that treasures are everywhere if you know how to look. A reminder that knowledge is more valuable than money. A reminder that the people who look down on you often can't see what's right in front of them. A reminder that being underestimated is sometimes your greatest advantage. 10 years after that auction, Sarah was 33 years old. She had achieved more than most people achieve in a lifetime, but she hadn't forgotten where she came from. Her original shop, the small garage she almost lost, still operated. She kept it exactly as it was, as a museum of sorts, a reminder of humble beginnings. Young people touring her foundation always visited that original shop. They saw the old tools, the cramped workspace, the pictures of Sarah's grandfather on the wall. "This is where it started," Sarah would tell them. "In this tiny shop with barely enough money to survive, I kept working and learning. I never gave up, and neither should you." The Wings and Wrenches Foundation had helped over 5,000 people by this point. Graduates of the program were opening shops across the country. Some had started their own foundations to help the next generation. Sarah's movement had created a movement. One of her proudest moments came when the first Wings and Wrenches graduate became a professor at a major engineering school. Dr. Jennifer Wu had been a homeless teenager when she entered Sarah's program. Now she was teaching mechanical engineering to college students. "Sarah saved my life," Jennifer said in an interview. "I was sleeping in my car when I found the foundation. She gave me skills, confidence, and hope. Now I get to pass that on to my students." Sarah attended Jennifer's first university lecture. Sitting in the back of the classroom, watching Jennifer teach, Sarah felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was legacy, this was purpose, this was what mattered. Sarah's story spread far beyond her town. It became a symbol of why society should never underestimate people based on appearance, age, gender, or background. Documentary filmmakers made a movie about her journey. The film won awards at festivals around the world. Schools showed it to students as an example of perseverance and smart thinking. The documentary included interviews with people Sarah helped, experts who verified the plane, and even Marcus Webb talking about his transformation. "I represent everyone who judged Sarah wrongly," Marcus said in the film. "And I'm here to say we were fools. She saw value where we saw trash because she had knowledge we didn't have. She bet on herself when we bet against her, and she changed hundreds of lives while we chased meaningless wealth." The film's message resonated globally. It sparked conversations about gender bias in technical fields. It encouraged young people to pursue knowledge in areas they loved. It reminded adults to take young people seriously. Sarah received letters from 6 continents. People of all ages wrote to say her story inspired them to chase their dreams, to keep learning, to never give up when others doubted them. A young woman from Kenya wrote, "Your story gave me courage to open a motorcycle repair shop in my village. Everyone said women shouldn't do this work, but I remembered your story and did it anyway. Now I support my whole family." A teenager from India wrote, "I almost quit school because kids made fun of me for wanting to be an engineer. Then I saw your documentary. I'm staying in school now. I'm going to be like you." Reading these letters, Sarah often cried. Happy tears, grateful tears, amazed that her choice to buy a container for $100 had rippled out to touch so many lives. Now, at 33, Sarah sometimes thought about that day at the auction. The day she stood alone by that rusty container while everyone laughed. The day she bet everything on something only she could see. What if she had listened to the doubters? What if she had let Marcus's mockery stop her? What if she had decided $100 was too much to risk? Her whole life would be different. Thousands of other lives would be different too. But she didn't listen. She trusted herself. She trusted her knowledge. She trusted her grandfather's teachings. And that trust changed everything. Sarah often visited her grandfather's grave. She told him about the foundation, the shops, the lives changed. She thanked him for believing in her when she was just a little girl who loved planes. "I hope I made you proud, Grandpa," she whispered during one visit. "I took everything you taught me and built something that helps people, just like you wanted." A breeze moved through the trees, almost like an answer. Sarah smiled. She knew he was proud. Today, Sarah continues to run her businesses and foundation. She's working on her second book. She's planning to expand the foundation internationally. She's developing a scholarship program to send students to engineering schools. But she also still fixes cars. Every Tuesday, she works in her original shop, taking appointments just like any other mechanic. She wants to stay connected to the work she loves. Regular customers know not to mention her fame or wealth. They just bring in their cars and trust her to fix them right. And Sarah likes it that way. "I'm still the same person I was 10 years ago," Sarah says. "I just have more resources to help people now." Her office walls are covered with photos. Pictures of students who graduated from the program. Pictures of shops opened by her graduates. Pictures of the P-47 Thunderbolt. And in the center, a picture of her grandfather in his pilot uniform, smiling. Sarah looks at that picture every day. It reminds her why she does this work, why she fights to give young people chances, why she refuses to let anyone be dismissed as just a grease monkey or just a young girl. Because everyone has potential, everyone has value, everyone deserves a chance to show what they can do. You just have to see it. Sometimes the greatest treasures in life are hidden in plain sight. That rusty container everyone ignored held a $5 million plane, but the real treasure wasn't the money. The real treasure was the knowledge to recognize opportunity, the courage to take a risk when everyone said you were wrong, the humility to remember where you came from, the generosity to help others climb the same ladder you climbed. Sarah's story teaches us that success isn't about being the loudest, richest, or flashiest person in the room. It's about being the most prepared, the most knowledgeable, the most willing to see value where others see nothing. It teaches us that being underestimated can be your secret weapon. While others laugh and dismiss you, you can be quietly working, quietly learning, quietly positioning yourself for success. It teaches us that the person changing oil in dirty work clothes might know more than the millionaire in the expensive suit. That the quiet young woman in the corner might see opportunities that arrogant men miss. That real power comes from skill and knowledge, not from putting others down. Most importantly, Sarah's story teaches us that true success is measured by how many people you lift up as you rise. Sarah could have kept her wealth and lived in luxury. Instead, she built a foundation that changed thousands of lives. She created opportunities for people who were dismissed just like she was. That's legacy, that's purpose, that's what it means to truly succeed. So the next time you see someone being underestimated, or the next time you feel underestimated yourself, remember Sarah Martinez. Remember that rusty container everyone ignored. Remember that knowledge and courage can turn $100 into $5 million. But more than that, Remember that the real treasure is using your success to open doors for others, to prove that people like you, whatever like you means, can achieve amazing things. The world is full of hidden treasures. Some are planes in containers. Some are ideas waiting to be discovered. Some are people waiting for their chance to shine. The question is, will you have the eyes to see them? Will you have the courage to bet on them? Will you have the wisdom to recognize that value comes in unexpected packages? Sarah did, and it